Ryan Cole hated small rooms. That was the first thing he learned after moving to Orbital Station 9. The station was big from the outside, but for workers like him, it was full of narrow halls, low ceilings, and tiny apartments that felt more like storage boxes. Every wall made some kind of sound. Pipes knocked at night. Air vents hummed all day. Even the floor sometimes shook when cargo ships docked. Ryan worked long shifts in the lower repair decks. The pay was bad, the food was worse, and rent was high. So when the housing office told him he had to share his room with a new tenant, he did not even argue. He was too tired. What he did not expect was an alien roommate. Her name was Lyra Venn. She came from a world called Selith, a planet known for its scientists, strict rules, and cold people. At least that was what Ryan had heard. When he first saw her standing outside the apartment door with 2 silver cases in her hands, he almost thought the housing office had made a mistake. She was tall, calm, and strangely graceful. Her skin had a pale silver tone. Her eyes were large and clear, almost glowing under the hallway lights. She wore a dark blue uniform with no dust on it, which already made her look like she did not belong near Ryan's side of the station. "Ryan Cole?" she asked. He nodded once. "Yeah, that's me. I am Lyra Venn," she said in a flat voice. "We have been assigned shared living space." Ryan looked at the tiny room behind him, then back at her. "Lucky us." She stared at him for a second, trying to understand if that was humor. Living together became strange very fast. Lyra was quiet, clean, and deeply serious about everything. She folded her clothes with perfect lines. She arranged her food by color. She cleaned the table after every meal, even if Ryan had only placed a cup on it for 10 seconds. But the strangest thing was how often she watched him. Not in a creepy way, more like a scientist watching a machine that might suddenly explode. She asked strange questions too. "Why do humans drink heated bean water for energy?" "Because coffee works," Ryan said. "Why do humans smile when under stress?" "Because crying at work is bad for your job." Lyra wrote that down. Every day, Ryan became more confused by her, and every day Lyra seemed more interested in him. By the end of the week, Ryan came home tired, dirty, and ready for a hot shower. He tossed his work jacket on the chair and walked toward the bathroom. Behind him, Lyra was sitting at the table, watching him again with those bright silver eyes. And above them, the station lights flickered once, then twice. Ryan stopped and looked up. That was never a good sign. The first sign was not the darkness. It was the silence. Orbital Station 9 was never quiet. The vents always breathed through the walls. The pipes always clicked. Far away, engines always gave a deep metal hum, like the station had its own giant heart. But that night, all of it stopped. Ryan was still in the shower when the sound died. He opened his eyes at once. The water became cold, then the lights went out. For 1 second, everything around him turned black. "Great," he muttered. A red emergency light flashed once outside the bathroom door, then disappeared. The station's backup system was trying to wake up, but it was too slow. Ryan grabbed a towel fast and wrapped it around his waist. Water ran down his shoulders and back as he pushed the bathroom door open. The room outside was dark, painted in weak red lines from the emergency strips near the floor. "Lyra," he called, "you okay?" No answer. He took 2 steps forward, and then the main backup lights came on. Bright white light filled the room in one sudden burst. Ryan froze. Lyra stood only a few feet away. She had clearly been moving toward the bathroom door, maybe to check on him, maybe to say something, maybe just trying to understand the blackout. But now she was standing completely still, one hand slightly raised, her silver eyes locked on him, or more exactly, locked on the very human shape that the towel was failing to protect with much dignity. For 1 long second, neither of them moved. Ryan's face turned hot. "Oh." Lyra did not blink. Her expression did not look embarrassed. It looked shocked. No, not shocked. Alarmed. Like she had opened a harmless storage box and found a live grenade inside. Ryan pulled the towel tighter. You could knock, you know. Still, she said nothing. Her breathing changed first. It became shallow and uneven. Then the color in her face shifted just a little, turning paler than before. Her fingers tightened slowly at her side. Lyra? At last she stepped back. Her voice came out low, almost careful. The records, she whispered, more to herself than to him. They were wrong. Ryan stared at her. What? She looked at him one more time, quickly now, like she was checking something dangerous. Then she turned and walked away. Not fast, not panicked, just very controlled. That somehow felt worse. Ryan stood in the center of the room, wet, confused, and still holding a towel with both hands like it was the last defense of his dignity. From the far side of the apartment, he heard Lyra open one of her silver cases. A few seconds later, he heard her speaking in a quiet voice into a private recorder. Field note, she said. Direct visual confirmation has changed the risk assessment. Human baseline form may be misleading. Ryan blinked. Then he frowned. What does that even mean? The next morning, Ryan knew something was wrong before he even opened his eyes. The room smelled too clean, not normal clean. Not Lyra's usual wipe the table and organize the cups clean. This was deep clean, careful clean, suspicious clean. He sat up slowly on his bed and looked around. His work boots were lined up perfectly near the wall. His tools, which he clearly remembered leaving on the chair, were now placed in order on the shelf. Even his empty snack wrappers were gone. The whole apartment looked like a room in a science museum. And Lyra was standing near the kitchen counter, holding a small scanner in her hand. She was scanning him. Ryan blinked. Are you serious? Lyra lowered the scanner at once. You are awake. Yeah, I noticed. He rubbed his face. Why are you pointing that thing at me first thing in the morning? I was not pointing, she said calmly. I was observing. That is the same thing with extra steps. Lyra ignored that. How do you feel today? Ryan stared at her. How do I feel? Yes, like a guy who woke up to his alien roommate treating him like a disease. Her eyes narrowed a little. You are not a disease. That makes me feel way better. Ryan stood up and walked toward the food unit. The moment he moved closer, Lyra stepped back and made space for him. Not casually, carefully, like she had decided he needed a wider safety zone than usual. Ryan stopped. That was new. He turned toward her. Okay, no, we're doing this now. Lyra straightened. Doing what? You're acting weird. I always act this way. No, Ryan said. You act cold. This is different. This is nervous. For the first time, Lyra looked away. That small move bothered him more than anything else. Ryan folded his arms. This is about last night, isn't it? A short silence filled the room. Then she placed the scanner down very gently. Yes, she said. Ryan let out a long breath. Look, the blackout happened. It was awkward. I get it. Can we just forget it? Lyra looked back at him, and her silver eyes were too serious for a normal answer. I do not think I can. Ryan frowned. Why not? She hesitated, which was rare for her. Then she spoke in a lower voice. Because what I saw does not match the human files given to the Sealith Research Network. Ryan stared at her for 2 seconds. Then he laughed. A real laugh. You're telling me the galaxy has official files about naked humans? Lyra did not laugh. The files describe your species as physically average, emotionally unstable, and biologically inefficient. Ryan's smile faded. And now? He asked. Lyra held his gaze. Now, she said, I think those files were written by fools. By evening, the apartment no longer felt like home. It felt like a waiting room before bad news. Ryan noticed it in small things. Lyra kept checking the door lock every few minutes. She muted her datapad when messages came in. Twice, she walked to the window, looked down at the transport lane far below, and stepped back without saying a word. Ryan sat at the small table trying to fix a broken tool from work, but even he could feel the pressure in the room. Finally, he looked up. "You want to tell me what is going on?" Lyra did not answer at once. That was answer enough. Ryan put the tool down. "Lyra?" She turned toward him. Her silver face looked calm, but her eyes were not calm at all. "My report was intercepted," she said. Ryan blinked. "Your report about what? Me?" "Yes." He leaned back slowly. "That is not a sentence I wanted to hear today." Lyra moved closer and lowered her voice. "I sent only a short private note to a Salith research contact. I believed the channel was secure. It was not." Ryan frowned. "And now?" "And now someone knows there may be new biological data on a human." He stared at her. "You make that sound very bad." "It is very bad." Before Ryan could answer, 3 hard knocks hit the apartment door. Not normal knocks, not neighbor knocks. These were heavy, slow, and certain. Both of them went still. The room suddenly felt smaller. Ryan stood up. "Maybe it's station security." Lyra's voice came out sharp. "No." The knocks came again. 3 times. Ryan looked toward the door display, but the small screen was black. "That is strange," he said. Lyra had already stepped back from the entrance. They disabled the viewer. A quiet chill ran through Ryan's chest. "Who are they?" he asked. Lyra swallowed once. "People who sell data, people who steal bodies, people who do not ask permission." Ryan stared at her. "That is a joke, right?" She looked him right in the eye. "No." The door lock gave a short metallic click. Ryan's heart dropped. "Tell me that was you." It was not. The outer panel began to open by force, inch by inch, with a hard scraping sound. Someone on the other side was using a bypass tool. Ryan moved fast then. He grabbed the nearest heavy object he could find, a metal storage bar from under the table, and pulled Lyra behind him. She looked shocked. "What are you doing?" "What does it look like?" "There are at least 2 of them." "Good," Ryan said, though his voice was tighter now. "Then they can both leave disappointed." The door slid open halfway. 2 tall figures stood in the hall, dressed in dark travel armor with no station marks. Their faces were hidden behind thin breathing masks. One held a shock baton. The other carried a case scanner already glowing blue. The one with the scanner looked past Ryan and stopped on Lyra. "We are here for the report," he said. Then his gaze shifted back to Ryan. "And the specimen." The taller intruder stepped into the room first. That was his first mistake. He looked at Ryan the same way rich people looked at broken machines, annoyed, not afraid. His scanner moved once over Ryan's body, then gave a soft sound, like it had already decided he was weak. "Move aside," the masked man said. "No damage is needed." Ryan tightened his grip on the metal bar. "That is funny. I was about to say the same thing." The second intruder entered from the side, shock baton humming with blue light. Behind Ryan, Lyra spoke in a low, tense voice. "They believe speed will be enough." Ryan did not look back. "Good. Then let them keep believing." The baton wielder rushed first, fast, too fast for a normal station fight. But Ryan worked in repair decks around heavy tools, broken lifts, and sudden accidents. His body knew how to react before his mind finished thinking. He stepped to the side, and the glowing baton missed his ribs by an inch. The attacker turned at once. Ryan swung the metal bar hard. It hit the man's arm with a sharp crack. The baton fell, bounced once on the floor, and rolled under the table. The first intruder moved in immediately, trying to pin Ryan against the wall. Strong hands grabbed his shoulder, but Ryan drove his elbow backward with full force. The masked man grunted and lost balance for half a second. Half a second was enough. Ryan slammed the metal bar into the apartment's heat pipe panel. Steam burst out with a loud hiss. The tiny room filled with hot white fog. The intruders stumbled. Their masks helped them breathe, but they could not see well. Ryan could. Not clearly, but clearly enough. He heard one of them curse. Then he moved. One hard step, one fast swing. One body dropped against the table. The second one came through the steam and landed a hit against Ryan's side. Pain shot through his ribs. For a second, the room tilted. Lyra gasped behind him. "Ryan!" But Ryan did not go down. He had worked injured before. He had finished shifts with burned hands, bruised knees, and a split lip. Pain was not new. Pain was just another thing the body learned to carry. The intruder hit him again. Ryan caught the man's wrist this time, and smiled. That smile was small, tired, a little wild. The attacker froze for one dangerous second, because that was not the face of prey. Ryan twisted the wrist, ripped the shock baton free, and drove his shoulder into the man's chest. Both crashed into the wall, but only one got up. The room went still. Steam drifted through the broken panel. One intruder lay unconscious near the table. The other was on the floor, trying and failing to breathe evenly. Ryan stood over them, one hand pressed to his ribs, chest rising hard. Across the room, Lyra stared at him with wide silver eyes. Not with fear, not exactly. It was something deeper, like she was finally seeing the truth, and in a shaken whisper she said, "Now I understand why humans survive worlds that should kill them." For a long moment no one moved. Steam still floated through the apartment in thin white waves. A warning alarm blinked near the broken heat panel, but even that sound felt far away now. Ryan slowly lowered the shock baton. His hand was shaking, not from fear, from pain. The hit to his ribs was getting worse, and now that the fight had ended, his body was starting to admit it. He took one careful breath, then another, and leaned against the wall. Across from him, Lyra still had not moved. She was looking at him the way a person might look at fire for the first time. Beautiful, useful, and dangerous. Ryan gave her a tired look. "You can stop staring now." Lyra blinked like she had returned from a very distant place. "I do not think I can," she said quietly. Ryan let out a short breath that almost became a laugh. "That is the second time you've said that, and I still don't know if I should be proud or worried." Before she could answer, the man on the floor near the table groaned and tried to push himself up. Lyra moved at once. She grabbed the fallen scanner from the intruder's belt, touched two fast controls, and aimed it at him. A pulse of blue light flashed across his mask. His body went weak again, dropping flat to the floor. Ryan stared. "You could do that this whole time?" "Yes." He looked at her. "Good to know." Then his face tightened from the pain in his side. Lyra stepped toward him quickly. "Sit down. I'm fine." "You are injured." "I said I'm—" "You are leaking blood through your shirt." Ryan looked down. She was right. A dark stain had spread along his side. He sat. Not because he wanted to, because standing had suddenly become a bad idea. Lyra knelt beside him with a medical kit from her silver case. Her hands moved fast, but her voice stayed soft. "This is what the galaxy gets wrong about humans," she said. Ryan winced as she pressed a sealing patch against his ribs. "This is a strange time for science." "This is the perfect time." He looked at her. Her silver eyes were steady now, not afraid anymore, just honest. "My people study strength by appearance," she said. "Large bodies, thick armor, natural weapons, poison, claws, venom, bone plates. They think danger must look dangerous." Ryan said nothing. Lyra continued carefully. "Humans do not look dangerous. That is why so many species make the same mistake." She sealed the patch and checked his breathing. "Your kind looks soft," she said. "Warm skin, no armor, no claws, no natural blades. And yet, under pressure, humans change faster than most known species. Pain does not stop them fast enough. Fear does not always control them. And when they choose to protect someone," she paused, "they become very hard to break." Ryan looked at the unconscious intruders on the floor, then back at her. "So that's it?" he asked. "The big secret of humanity?" We're too stubborn to stay down. Lyra's expression softened. That is part of it, she said. The other part is worse. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Worse? She nodded once. You care. He frowned a little. What? You care even when it hurts you. You care when logic says you should run. You care for people who are not even your own blood. That makes humans irrational. She held his gaze. And to the rest of the galaxy, irrational protectors are far more frightening than soldiers. Ryan was quiet for a second. Then he gave a weak smile. That might be the nicest, scary thing anyone's ever said about me. For the first time since the fight, Lyra smiled too. Small. Real. And just as the distant sound of station security began to echo through the hall, she said the words that changed everything between them. I was wrong about you, Ryan. He looked at her. Lyra lowered her voice. No, she said. I was wrong about all humans. By the next morning, the apartment looked normal again. Too normal. The broken panel had been sealed. The steam marks were gone. The floor had been cleaned. Even the door lock had been replaced by station workers before sunrise. It was as if the fight had never happened. But Ryan knew better. His ribs still hurt every time he breathed too deep. And Lyra was different, not in the obvious way. She still moved with quiet control. She still placed things in perfect order. She still spoke in that calm, even voice that made every sentence sound important. But now there was warmth in it. Small, but real. Ryan noticed it when she handed him a cup of coffee without asking. He noticed it when she adjusted the room lights lower because she knew his head hurt. He noticed it most when she looked at him. Before, Lyra had looked at him like a puzzle. Now she looked at him like an answer. Ryan sat at the table, one hand resting near his side, while Lyra stood by the window with her datapad open. Morning ships crossed the black space outside like tiny sparks. You're writing the report? He asked. Yes. Ryan took a slow sip of coffee. And what does the galaxy get to hear about us now? That humans are violent apartment animals? Lyra glanced back at him. No. He raised an eyebrow. No. She turned the screen toward herself again. The first draft was wrong. Ryan gave a weak smile. A lot of your drafts about humans seem to be wrong. That is true, she said, with no shame at all. He almost laughed. For a few seconds, the only sound in the room was the low hum of the station returning to its usual life. Then Lyra spoke again, reading quietly from her report. Human beings appear physically vulnerable at rest. This appearance is misleading. Their true survival value is not based only on muscle, speed, or pain resistance. It is based on emotional attachment, rapid adaptation, and extreme protective behavior under stress. Ryan blinked. That actually sounds kind of nice. Lyra looked at him then, and her silver eyes softened. I removed the word dangerous. Ryan leaned back. You did? Yes. What did you replace it with? She held his gaze for 1 second longer than usual. Reliable. Ryan looked away first. He did not know why that hit harder than the fight. Lyra returned to the report, but her voice became quieter now. The human male known as Ryan Cole displayed all major traits under direct threat conditions. He placed himself between danger and another person without hesitation. Recommendation: the galaxy should stop judging humans by appearance alone. Ryan stared at her. Then he smiled, tired but real. So, he said, I went from poor repair worker to official example of human survival? Lyra's mouth curved into a small smile. Yes? That is embarrassing. That is accurate. Ryan shook his head. You really are impossible. Lyra closed the datapad and stepped closer to the table. No, she said softly. I just see you clearly now. The room went quiet after that. Not awkward, not cold, just full. Ryan looked at the tiny apartment around them, the same cramped walls, the same narrow space, the same old station noises returning through the vents. Nothing had changed. And yet everything had. because the worst moment of his life had not been when his alien roommate saw him naked. It was the moment after that, the moment she truly saw what a human was. And somehow, she stayed.